What's up, everybody? It's Frank from Fam Sports New York, and today we're going to be talking about Frank's finest for Section 1A for 2023. And I want to thank you guys all for joining us for this video and announcement. And if you're new here, we're going to be kind of revealing our top players for Section 1A, about 11 to 12 players for both the offense and defensive side of the ball, and revealing a kicker / punter or returner at the end. And before we dive further into that video, I just want to say that, when I'm making these selections, it's a mixture of multiple different things, whether it's film work, stats, coaches' input. You get all that information together and you come up with this list. And I think these student athletes deserve to be recognized. If you disagree with any of my things, that's okay. You can tell me why you think you disagree or why you do agree. But I do think these kids deserve to be recognized. And that's a great thing about talking about football. But before we get started, also, I want to introduce our Patreon benefits that are new this year. If you join our Patreon, you'll be getting kind of our, the weekly reviews that start after the end of week 1. And depending on the tier that you choose for Patreon, you can also get access to our personal Discord where we can talk football, talk about news and stuff like that, and get offensive line and team rankings at the end of the week. So those are some things to consider if you want to kind of get added benefits. Join our Patreon. It does a great service to us. But let's start diving into this and starting at the quarterback spot. And this is an interesting group of quarterbacks for Class A this year. And because you have a bunch of talented players who have graduated, you have some quarterbacks who were hurt during the season and missed some times, didn't have complete full seasons that you had to evaluate. You also have position players who are really strong at their position, making the transition over to the quarterback spot. Guys like Sullivan from Somers, guys like Schultz from Eastchester, that are unproven commodities, and even some young players who had up and down season that show a lot of potential. So through this batch of quarterbacks, it was really tough to make this decision. And at the end of the day, putting all the evaluation together, the quarterback that I'm going with is actually someone who was out of Section 1 last year, who is making the return this year, and that's Julian Osh, the junior of Horace Greeley High School. This young man's about 5'11". He's not a big, imposing figure, but boy, he is a spark plug for their offense, and he had over 1,800 total yards last year and 21 total touchdowns. This is someone who really is a spark plug, who can make plays with both his arm and his legs. And what I really like is his decision-making in the red zone. He was really strong in the red zone, and he deserved this year's Frank's finest at the quarterback position. And before we dive into the skill guys, I do want to show a Frank's film room on what makes Julian so unique. For this video, we're going to be breaking down number 1 quarterback Julian Osh, class of 2025 from Horace Greeley High School in New York, highlighted on the screen. And before we dive into the breakdown, I would like to remind the audience to please give a thumbs up and subscribe for future content, and consider donating to our group. Now, diving into the breakdown, Julian's not a very big guy. He's listed about 5'11", 150 pounds. But boy, he was a spark plug for that offense. Last season, over 1,800 total yards, 21 total touchdowns, and might not have a gigantic arm, but boy, he really excelled on design sprint outs in the red zone. He showed some really good timing and anticipation on his throws. And looking at some of the deeper and intermediate routes, I thought he had his most success throwing over the middle of the field, and on the hash mark, throwing it to the short side of the field. Showed some nice touch. What I also liked about him is his toughness. I mean, at times he had to play with a busted thumb, I think on his throwing hand, but he still played through it and had a lot of success. Now, things he can work on, I think he has to work on his body. Remember, 150 pounds, definitely going to grow into his own a little bit more, and maneuvering the pocket and finding windows. Again, not very tall, so as the lines get bigger in front of him, finding different windows to throw to will be important. But let's dive in a couple plays I really like, and you're going to see this at his best. They lined up in a bunch of trips, whether it's tight trips, sometimes wide, and they're going to do designed rollouts. And in the red zone, he was really, really good and efficient. You're going to see a sprint out here. They're going to be flooding the zones with the route combination that I'm showing. And he does a good job attacking the edge of the defense where he has the threat of using his legs or finding a window to throw to. And this is a strong block by the running back right there out on the edge. You can see this corner is in between the flat defender and this corner route. And he sees that, and now he's going to use his accuracy to deliver a really nice ball right over the head of the corner. right? It looks like taking candy from a baby right there. Again, watching it again, he attacks the edge really well, keeping his eyes on the routes developing, spots that open corner, hits it. Looks like an easy touchdown, but really strong execution in the red zone. Here's another play again in the red zone, really, really good. Really was a touchdown maker for this team. They're going to fake a run. He's going to bootleg to the right. He's going to pretend to kind of slant and then go to the corner. And again, watch it work. First, I love the play. Look at him get the ball out there, right? Show the defense the ball. It's going to freeze all these guys. It's going to suck them in. I love quarterbacks who emphasize the fake when they do these boot actions. Again, really strong fake right there. Good job by the receiver getting out of contact. Corner's trying to undercut it. So again, you got to throw it over the top, nice and high. And the quarterback, look at him do that. Got a tall receiver right there. Knows he's got to go nice and high. Strong play. Again, going back to the beginning, all starts with a play fake, attacking the edge of the defense. Look at him suck that defense in. Again, he probably could beat the defender to the corner, but sees the receiver open, throws it to that corner. It's only a ball his receiver can get, leads to a touchdown. I mentioned the deep throws, like when he's not rolling out, the deep concepts where he was most successful at. And again, it was, to me, over the middle of the field and to the short side of the field on the hash marks. And this is an example of it, showing good timing and accuracy and touch. Right, these are the two deep route concepts. One's going over the middle, one's going to be doing a fade towards the sideline. And again, shows good timing and good touch. This is just a hike and throw right here. But nice base right here, balanced base, gets the ball out quickly. The defender is right on this receiver, right? There's no separation right now. This is about timing and accuracy. And again, watch the delivery. Boom, right on the sideline. I mean, you can't defend that ball. Perfectly thrown football. And this is just about, again, timing and touch. And on the short side of the field, towards the sideline, he could show that. Beautiful throw right there. Now the last play again. They line up in trips. This time they're going to motion 2 by 2. But I like the read here. And again, it's all about timing, reading the defense. They're going to motion and have them a little swing out. And they're going to be running a post to the single receiver side. But now they're going to motion to 2 by 2. And watch how the defense reacts, right? You're going to see a defender running with the motion. This defender's creeping up. He's going to be coming off the edge. And now you want to take a look, right? Is he going to bail out into his zone? Is this going to be full-on man? And if it does, watch what opens up. He runs with them, right? Now he's running into the flats. That means there's nothing in the middle of the field right here. So where should he attack? That post. And that's what he reads. He sees that, delivers it, takes a hit. And this is all about timing, right? He doesn't need to throw 50 yards in the air. He knows where the space is going to be. He puts the ball out in front of his receiver and delivers a strike. And that's important for a quarterback. Pressure's coming. Pressure gets to him. He knows where he needs to go with the ball. Stands tough in the pocket and delivers it. Again, this young man was a fire plug for this offense last year. I'm excited to see this growth heading into this season. All right, guys, now we're going to talk about the skill position. This could be running back, wide receiver, tight end, athlete, I like to call it, which could be a mixture of different players. Let's start off with the first one up. And again, there's no specific order, but running back Mason Kelly is joining the Frank's Finest list, the junior from Somers. This young man, 5'11", 170 pounds. He really stood out to me on tape for a team that was loaded with seniors for a state title team. And this is a young man who made plays as a sophomore. And I do think he really started off as kind of like this versatile receiving back. But as the season went along, he just got more and more impressed with his ability to run the football, whether it's off tackle or outside, and making people miss. And I'm starting to realize, I think the league's going to start to realize the only thing that was holding him back was that he had a talented senior running back in front of him. So he gets on this list. Next up, fullback and running back Christian Barcella, the senior of Harrison High School. This young man, not a very big guy. He's like 5'8"-ish, with 180 pounds. He had over 800 yards last year and 11 touchdowns. He has that low center of gravity. He runs really hard. He knows how to play through contact and shows some nice balance to him, that he can make a little bit of juke moves. He's got a smoothness to him, but boy, he's got that low center of gravity, runs hard. He could be a load for some of these linebackers. He had a strong year last year and deserves to be on this list. Next up, I'm going to call an athlete, and that's Danny Koch, the senior from Mahopac. This young man, 6 foot, 180 pounds, super versatile player. I mean, he can line up as a wide receiver both in the slot and on the outside. He can line up as the running back, which I do think he's going to take more of those reps this year at the running back spot. He lined up at quarterback due to some injuries, and he really saved the season for them towards the end. He made some big-time plays towards the end of the season. What I really like about him is his balance, and his balance kind of reminds me of his brother who's playing at the next level, his ability to play through contact and stay on his feet. The versatility is going to be huge here. I didn't even mention him as a returner, probably one of the best returners in the class. He gets his spot on this list. Next up, the next one is I'm going to call another athlete, Nick Massarelli, the senior from Pelham Memorial High School. This young man, 5'8", 160 pounds, shifty and fast are the two words that really stood out to me. Now, he was primarily a slot wide receiver last year, but he can go into the backfield as well, and he feasted off of jet sweeps and outside design runs because of that speed. He can really turn the corner on you, but he also is shifty in the passing game on some of these outbreaking routes, finding open space in the zones. He made some plays for them, and boy, he's also one of the best returners coming back. Really can break a game open in special teams. He earned himself on this list. Next up, wide receiver Thomas Costello, the senior from Yorktown, and this young man, over 400 yards receiving, 5 touchdowns last year, and he wins with his route running. This is someone who is really strong in that 5 to 15 yard range, making plays, finding space in the zone. And I also like his ability to play through contact, contested catches. When guys are draped on him, he can come down with the football. He showed some toughness to him last year, and he earned himself on this list. Finally, to round it all up in the skill position, wide receiver Chris McLaughlin, the senior from Harrison High School. I mean, this is one of the more dynamic football players in this class and in the section, over 1,000 all-purpose yards and 11 touchdowns last year. I think, he is one of the fastest players in this section, and what he's really improved on is his route running. I mean, he's become not just a deep threat guy, but someone who can hurt you with his route running and create separation. And what I also like is that he's gotten stronger. This is a young man who can play through contact, make contested catches, even though he's not very big. Super, super dynamic. Before we dive into the offensive line, though, I do have a Frank's Film Room on Chris, and I want to show you why I think he's unique. For this video, we're going to be breaking down number 2 wide receiver, running back, and defensive back Chris McLaughlin, class of 2024 of Harrison High School, highlighted on the screen. Before we dive further into the video, if you like this kind of content, please give a thumbs up and subscribe for future videos. If you consider helping the group even further, consider joining our Patreon for added benefits or using the donation links in the description. Now, diving into Chris, and this young man, this is not the first video I've done on him. He's listed about 5'8", 150 pounds, and he had over 1,000 all-purpose yards last year and 11 touchdowns, and this is a dynamic two-way player, and he's not a very big guy, but I love these not-so-big players being a dominant force in a big man sport of football, and he's one of them, and he's one of the fastest players in this section. And it's not just his speed, but I think he's gotten a lot better at his ability to cut, his ability to create separation with his route running, which I like. And I also like his ability to make contested catches. And again, he's not a very big guy, but he attacks the football, he shows good body control, but he makes big plays. And he's also a dynamic returner that you always have to consider in the special teams game. Now, things he can work on, listen, I think he's a really strong all-around player, but he's not a very big guy, but I do think being a more impactful blocker, and it's just being a positive blocker. I don't need him burying guys. Again, I don't think he'll be an overpowering blocker, but can he be an improved blocker? Yes, I do. Now, let's go over a couple plays I did. Like I mentioned, at the wide receiver spot, I think he's improved most at is his route running. You're going to see he's going to do pretty much a slant corner right here. He's really going to drive hard inside to try to get the defender to open up his hips and then cross his face. And there he is highlighted. And here's the cut. But the defender actually does a good job. He doesn't overcompensate on this. But this is his ability to, again, attack the corner of the field using his speed and the body control. Defender does a good job opening up his hips here, but watch him attack the football. Look at him get his foot down right there. I love this play from him. Good body control. Plays through the contact. Again, really savvy play. And it starts with the route running to create this separation. There it is right there. Ball's thrown towards the sideline. He's got to get 1 foot in the high school level. Look at him play through the contact. Know where he is on the football field. Really, really impressive play. Let's go to another play. Here he is highlighted right here. Again, towards the edge of the screen. He'll come into the forward picture in a moment. But you're going to see here a fade, right? He's going to run kind of a slant, and then he's going to go into a fade. Again, it's that hard slant to try to get the defender to open up his hips like he does right there. Boom, look at that sharp cut. And this is what creates that separation. But defender does a good job coming back in a trail position. Look at the hand right in his face, but look at him attack the football. He doesn't wait for him. He's got a defender right on his face right here. Play through the contact, let him come down with it. Great concentration and body control. But again, the separation, we know he's one of the fastest kids in the section, but it's the route running that creates this, right? A hard slant to the inside, defender open up his hips. Now he breaks off. And defender in a good trail position right here does not a bad job, but look at him attack the football. And that's how he wins his rep. He comes back, attacks the football, goes up, makes this play, comes down with it, good body control, impressive play. Let's go to another one. Here he is highlighted right here. Now this is the speed. You're seeing this off-man coverage right here. This is about, what, 8 yards? Right, he's going to be running a fade. 8 yards of separation, right? So you're going to have speed if you're going to run a fade and create separation here. But what I like he does, he kind of lulls his defender to sleep. He gives a little bit of delay, and then you're going to see that explosiveness, that speed here. Look at the delay here, right? He's kind of jogging in the beginning, and now, boom, look at him hit that 6th gear quickly, and it creates this separation right here. And again, this was 8 yards of cushion. And again, that explosion, look at him, look the ball in, make this nice touchdown play. Again, really one of the more dynamic players in the class and in the section, but I like this. This is the savviness that I'm talking about. Look at him, he kind of lulls the defender to sleep, 8 yards of cushion, trying to get him to look towards the quarterback, and then boom, there's that burst of speed right there, creating the separation, looks the ball in, makes a nice touchdown grab. Again, I talk about the route running. I think that's where he's improved the most at. And it wasn't that he was a bad route runner, but he's gotten more and more precise. Here he is highlighted. Again, with his kind of speed, it really puts defenders in a bind because they have to be afraid of their ability to blow a top off a defense. And that's what will open up underneath stuff. So you're going to see kind of a slant in, and now he's going to break towards the outside. But again, getting the defender to open up his hips, thinking this is going to be kind of a post right here. So he's trying to get over the top, but then watch him just change direction quickly. Boom, get that head around, and that's that separation. Again, this is route running, doing that right here. Creates a separation, and now look at his ability to burst again in open field, creating a nice big chunk play again. I mean, him in the open field, there's not many people going to catch him, but I like this again. Playing off coverage, they're trying to stop these deep routes, and it'll open up things underneath, and it's the route running. Again, hard slant, look at him break towards the outside. He probably sink his hips a little bit better, make it an easier cut for him, but creating the separation, change directions, explode up the field for another big chunk play. And again, he's going to be one of the most important players in the class for Harrison next year. I'm excited to see his growth heading into the next season. All right, guys, let's move to the offensive line. And again, so many talented players, there is a lot of tough decisions that have to be made. And let's just start off with offensive lineman Nick Greco, the senior from Somers. He earns his way on the offensive line, Frank's finest. This young man feels like multi-year starter on the varsity at 5'11", 245 pounds, and where he really wins is his quick feet. He's got a really good start off the football, and once he gets his hands locked in, he's powerful. He's got a nice punch to him. He can really drive the sled and finish it, and I tell you what, he's just a well-rounded in the run game. He can move. He can block the big boys at the point of attack and get to the second level. A well-rounded offensive lineman getting that slot in Nick Greco. Next up, offensive lineman Derek Carlson, the senior from Brewster High School at 5'11", 230 pounds. Again, just really powerful kid, strong down blocker. He also shows that agility that he can get up to the second level. This is a strong two-way player, but he's earning that spot here on the offensive line. He can move people at the point of attack. Again, not a big hulking figure at about 5'11", but because of that strength in his base, he can really move people on those down blocks, and he can also show the ability to pull and block in some space. This is a strong two-way player earning this spot at Derek Carlson. Next up, offensive center. Center is one of the hardest positions to play, and this one goes to Brian Bailey, the senior from Fox Lane High School. Just another really strong two-way player getting on this list, this time at the offensive position. And this is a 4-year starter. I mean, you're talking about not many players in high school are 4-year vets at the varsity level. That's like NFL and college stuff right there. But every year I watch him, he gets bigger, he gets stronger. He does a better job of finishing off defenders. driving people, and the strength is really in his hands and his ability to move defenders using his hips, and I think he's done a really good job. He's also done a lot of sharp snaps. We keep talking about center as, you know, what separates them from the other linemen is you got to be able to snap, right? You got to be able to have strong snaps and block at the same time, and he does a good job of that, earning his spot on this list. Let's go to the next offensive lineman, Jake Wilson, the senior of Yorktown High School, 6'3", 300 pounds, big man who can really engulf a defender. But what impressed me the most is, given his size, he can move around. I've seen him pull, I've seen him get to the second level and block, and he was pretty darn good in pass pro. So this is, again, a big boy, earning his spot with his play this past season. He gets on the list. Finally, to wrap it all off, offensive tackle Patrick Banky, the junior of Clarkstown North High School. This young man, 6'2", 220 pounds. He was a young offensive lineman last year, but I was impressed. I mean, he's at his best when he's pulling, trapping, and he's in an offense that really showcases that, because he's got athletic feet, and he's got some power to him and some nastiness to him. I thought for a young offensive lineman, finishes his blocks pretty well, so I'm excited to see his growth this offseason, and he earned his spot on this list. Let's move now to the D-line, and to me, I'm a big defensive guy. Again, there's a lot of impressive players who are two-way players, but I can only choose them to slot one way. And on this defensive line, first up, let's talk about defensive tackle. And the first one that gets on this list is Arden Balidamaj, the junior from Harrison High School. And I apologize if I butchered your name, but this young man at 6'4", 235 pounds, tall, long player. Seen him play at the nose guard spot, whether it's a 1-tech, 3-tech. And this is a guy who uses long arms to control offensive linemen. And when he can kind of engage linemen, read, and then fill a gap, that's where he was at his best and most disruptive in the run game. But there is a lot of potential here that I'm excited to see his growth. But he's also can finish tackles, which is another tough thing when you see these big D linemen. Can they penetrate and also finish tackles? And he's one that had a strong one last year. Next up, defensive end, Sean Mannion, the senior from Eastchester High School. This was a catalyst. He was one of the big catalysts for a strong defensive unit last year, and he really excels at using his speed to beat kind of the slower-footed offensive linemen, but also keep them off balance. So when teams are expecting his speed rush, that's where he can generate some power. When they go off balance, they can just come in with the speed. He can move speed to power and cause penetration, especially as a pass rusher. He made a lot of big plays and sacks. But he also has a nice inside move in the run game, right? So it's not just an outside, contain. He also can make a nice inside move as well. He's a little bit light, but I do love his motor, right? His motor makes up for some of the lack. He's not short, right? But, again, the motor to me really compensates for him being a little lighter. And coaches rave about his strength, and he earned a spot on this list. Next up, defensive tackle / defensive end, Gianluca Santarelli, the senior from Harrison High School. This young man, 6 feet, 215 pounds. He's a little bit undersized for a D tackle, but I tell you, he makes up for it with that high motor. And this is a guy who keeps on coming. Really like his start. He has a good start off the ball, which he can beat offensive linemen to the point of attack. He's also shows the versatility that he can make plays both as a defensive tackle and as a defensive end, which, again, I love versatility in football players. He's one of those guys. He was disruptive at both. Super impressed he earned a spot on this list. And to wrap it all off, this also was kind of an easy choice for me, and that is defensive end / outside linebacker Ryan Cole, the senior from Somers High School. This young man, 6'2", 230 pounds, absolute disruptive force. And I tell you, he's probably one of the best defensive players in Section 1 as a whole. He had over 10 sacks last year, 10 sacks, excuse me. And he just has a nice mix of explosiveness, his use of hands, that caused a lot of issues for offensive units last year. And he shows that he's strong both in the run game, defending sweeps, and he held up pretty well, even though he's not a huge guy, but he held up pretty well at runs at the point of attack, which shows the strength in his lower core and his legs. So this is an impressive, well-balanced football player. He definitely earns the final spot in the defensive front. But before we move to the defensive back end, I did have a Frank's film room on Ryan, and I want to show what makes him unique. For this video, we're going to be breaking down number 50, defensive end and offensive tackle Ryan Cole, class of 2024 of Somers High School, highlighted on the screen. But before we dive further into the video, if you like this kind of content, please give a thumbs up and subscribe for future videos. If you're considering helping the group even further, think about joining our Patreon or using the donation links in the description. And diving back into Ryan, this young man, 6'2", 225 pounds. He is a disruptive force, and this is that prototypical 3-4 outside linebacker edge player that is explosive, and he uses his hands very well. In the run game, he really wins a lot of his reps using his speed and explosiveness. He can chase plays from backside, and he can defend sweeps towards the sideline using that speed. And as a pass rusher, probably one of the most consistent in Section 1. He has that speed that he can bend the corner on some of the slower offensive linemen. And he has a nice rip and inside move that he uses. So I've seen some strong reps. Running backs really struggle to block him. Things he can work on. Continue to get stronger at the point of attack on runs going right at him. Not so much laterally, but continue to work on his strength. But let's dive further into a couple plays I really like. I mentioned he's right here. We're going to talk about that pass rushing, right? He's pretty good. He's got a pretty solid start, and he can use his speed and explosiveness to bend that corner on these offensive linemen. Here's an example of that. First off, again, gets a pretty good start off, and now he's got to rip that back arm through here, and he's got to bend that corner towards the quarterback, right? And you're going to see he has that ability to do that. He beats the offensive lineman using his hands, and he gets the sack there. And again, starting on the start. The start is so important. You can see he gets ahead of everybody else. Look at the depth he creates right here. Now it's to turn that corner to the quarterback, rip that arm through, and he gets the sack here. Let's go to another play. And I mentioned he's a young man who probably is one of the most consistent edge players at using his hands. And here he is on the edge right here. Another pass rushing rep. And you're going to see kind of a quick move right here. He's going to punch that offensive lineman and watch him use his hands right here. Boom, look at him. Use that hands, get right by the lineman right away. Real easy win, and now the closing speed here on the quarterback to finish this play. Again, the ability to pass rush is super important. Let's watch again. It doesn't get the great start that he normally has, but watch the hands. Boom. Really good hands there. Beats that offensive lineman easily. Gets the sack. His ability in the run game has also been pretty impressive. He's one of probably the top returning defensive players coming in. It's because he has strong reps in both as a pass rusher and in the run game. And defending the sweep, you're going to see right here. They're going to try to sweep towards him. They're going to try to get a crack block with the wide receiver here. And wide receivers and running backs trying to block him have really struggled. I think a lineman is going to try to pull to the outside, and they're running a sweep right to him. And you're going to see the speed and explosiveness. Again, really difficult because he shows good strength here for these wide receivers to close down on him. Really good start off the ball here. And it's that closing speed. Look at him explode there, get back to the outside, create this negative play that I really like watching. Just consistent. Consistent presence. Okay, trying to crack block him is pretty difficult. He's got good speed, good strength. Makes the play. One last play. Here he is right here. And again, sweeping towards him, they're pulling a couple linemen, trying to get a running back to down block him. And again, this is difficult. Watch the speed right here. Boom, look at him explode. Shoot that gap right away. You know, running back doesn't even have a chance right here. Really good job diagnosing and reading this play. Exploding through. Just an absolute dominant play right here. Dominant rep. Again, he reads it, shoots the gap. Running back can't get a good angle on him and makes this play. Let's watch it one more time. Really impressive. And I know he's had an impressive summer as well. I'm excited to see what he's worked on this offseason to improve. I mean, this is a very important football player for this program on the defensive side of the ball, really on both sides of the ball. And I'm excited to see what he does this upcoming season. All right, guys, now let's talk about the linebackers spot, linebackers and DBs. So it's going to be, again, a mix of everyone in the back end, no particular order. And then we'll go into kicker/punter for this year. And let's start at defensive back. And this is an interesting one, but I do think a super talented, not well-known player, and that's Matthew Iglesias, the junior from Somers High School. And again, this was last year had a senior heavy team, a lot of talented seniors, a lot of team with a lot of depth. And this was another young man on that team. He was a sophomore. He's now a junior, who kind of stood out to me in a crowded team. And they had a lot of senior talent up front, obviously outside of guys like Greco and Ryan Cole, and at the linebacker spot. But this is, again, another, what Somers did have was kind of a young secondary, or youngish secondary. And he made some plays out there for him. He doesn't have mind-blowing stats, but when you pop on the tape, this is a guy who shows up on film and can be very impressive, and he earned his spot on this list. He's not the only one on this as well from defensive back unit. Another safety from Somers, and that's Andrew Violante, the senior. This young man, 6 foot, 170 pounds. He was second on the team last year in INTs. And this is a versatile safety that plays a high safety and in the box. And in the run game, I do think he's really strong at defending the edge in the box. And in the pass game, he showed the ability to have solid range and reading the quarterback and making plays on the football. He earned his spot on this list as well. Another safety on the list, James Arfige, the senior from John J. Cross River. Again, I apologize if I mispronounce names. I'm not very good at them, but this is a young man who earned this spot as well. He's from John J. Cross River, 5'10", 175 pounds. He's a transfer from Kennedy Catholic, and he had a strong year last year. 60 tackles, 3 INTs, was an impact player in both the pass game and the run game, and he plays with some serious physicality. Plus defender both in the run on the outside and as a blitzer. So he's someone who earned his spot on this list. Let's talk about some linebackers now. And this is kind of an outside linebacker / inside linebacker. Ryan Vogel, the senior of Yorktown High School, gets a spot on this list. Not a very big guy, but boy, he is quick, and he is a spark plug for an aggressive style defense. Yorktown had a strong defensive unit last year, and he was one of the big playmakers. He eludes blockers very well in space. He's also a very strong blitzer in that aggressive style defense, who earned a spot on this list. Another outside linebacker that earned a spot on this list, James Minotti, the senior of Fox Lane High School. This young man, 6'1", 205 pounds, solid size, very active and reliable defender, multi-year starter. And what I like is, again, he's strong in the run game. He can defend the outside. He can also, defend the point of attack, those off-tackle runs where you really, it's not showing your speed. You're going to have to show some power, and he shows that he can do that, and he's reliable. In the passing game, too, I thought he was pretty solid dropping into zone coverage. This is another well-rounded, maybe not well-known defender, but someone who has earned his spot on Frank's Finest list. Let's talk about a couple of inside linebackers to wrap it up. First inside linebacker, Vin Chiafone, the junior from Eastchester High School. This is an elusive playmaker, strong nose for the football, finds very good angles to the running back. And in the run game, he was a positive tackler. He's not a very big guy, but he can show he can play through contact, get to the ball carrier, and he's probably one of the best cover linebackers. Had a couple big INTs this past season. And to wrap it up at the linebacker spot, this one to me was an easy choice. Kevin Butler, the senior from Clarkstown South High School, at 6'1", 215 pounds. And he's not only one of the best linebackers in the class, he's one of the best linebackers in the entire section. And he's well-rounded. I think he's one of the top run linebackers because he diagnoses plays quickly. He flows to the football, flows down hill is what we like to call it, and he plays through contact. So he can elude blockers. He can also run through blockers, and that's really important. We don't see enough from the linebackers is how they handle being blocked. He does a very good job of it and shows the capabilities of defending outside runs. He was without question a strong tackler as well. So he rounds out the list at the linebacker spot. Before we get to the kicker and punter, I did want to show a Frank's film room on Kevin and what makes him unique. For this video, we're going to be breaking down number 21 linebacker and running back Kevin Butler, class of 2024 of Clarkstown South High School. Before we dive further into the video, if you like this kind of content, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for future videos. If you're considering helping the group even further, think about joining our Patreon for added group benefits or using donation links below. And back to Kevin, this young man, 6'1", 215 pounds. He is a strong, slippery, well-rounded linebacker. I think he's one of the best linebackers I saw on tape from last year coming back. And he moves pretty well. I have seen some strong reps both as a blitzer and dropping into zone coverage as well in the passing game. So well diverse in the run game and pass game. But my favorite part of his game is his ability to read, diagnose, flow downhill, and avoid and play through contact to the ball carrier. It's such an important aspect of being a linebacker, is being able to play through blockers and get to the ball carrier. And he's probably one of the better ones at it. Now, things he can work on, sometimes he plays a little bit high at times, especially in his stances. If he can get a little bit too wide, which I believe his initial read steps slows him down a little bit. Love to see some more man coverage stuff. Let's go over a couple plays I really like. And one of my favorite linebackers to watch so far. And when you're looking at reads, right, there's a lot of different ways to skin a cat, but a big thing for me is triangle reads. Based on what level you're being taught at is how big the triangle stretches. In college, you can go from a running back and your reads can stretch all the way to tight end. So those triangles could be really big. But I'm just focusing on a flow read, which is your running back is going to tell you which area to look at while you're processing, while you're moving. You're looking at this space or the lineman, and if they're pulling back, that means it's a counter, right? And you flow the other direction. And if they're blocking, whether it's down blocks, drive blocks, zone blocks, you continue to flow. And that's kind of the big thing. You see this running back, he's going to step in this direction. So he's reading this side of that triangle. And that's going to tell him whether he should keep flowing into his gap, which is in this direction, or should he be bending back on the counter. And it's really going to give him a flow this way. And so let's watch him on this initial step here. First off, he takes his 2 read steps forward, which is always really important. He's starting to flow in this direction. You got a big lineman coming right at him, right? You can't be afraid. You can't avoid this guy. So you're going to have to fight through this block to get to where your hole is, which is right here. Right, and again, watch him work. He makes that lineman miss. He knows where he needs to go in that direction. Boom, makes a solo tackle one-on-one in the hole. This is a very good rep. I'm going to show again. And it all starts with reading, diagnosing, and flowing downhill. And if you need to, at times you're going to have to make blockers miss, or you're going to have to go through blockers. He makes a miss right here, gets into his hole, establishes it, makes the play. Let's watch him one more time. That's good stuff. Here's another play. Here he is right here. And again, another good angle. You're going to see running back is going to be attacking the center. So again, he's going to be looking at the area right in front of him. Should he keep flowing in this direction? And you got to do this in a quick manner, right? The quicker you can diagnose these plays, the better. He sees that. He's starting to flow this way. His eyes should be looking in this direction. You're seeing these linemen down block. They want to down block and get up to the backer. His guard is pulling. So that means this ball's coming this direction. He flows this way, and now again, his hole's right here. Too many times we see linebackers that kind of bail away from the blocks. You got to get into your hole, right? So he's got to split this double team right here, and he does that. Look at him fight through those blockers right there. He fills his gap, and again, making the tackle. This is another impressive play. Split those blocks right there. Love it. Makes his tackle. I mentioned he moves pretty well for a guy, that's 215. I thought he moved pretty solid, and this is an example of it. They're going to be running a sweep, and they're going to try to give you a bunch of junk, right? Especially if you have linebackers who are just focusing on the tailback or focusing on linemen, which linemen do give you a good indication, but if you have a zone scheme, it could be difficult to just focus in on linemen or teams that do false pulls, right? So they're going to be faking the running back. You're going to hand it to him. He's going to counter it back to the swing back, and you're going to see motions. But if you follow your keys, you could figure it out, and he does it quickly. He's going to actually look at the lineman. He sees the guard pulling. He's going to be bailing out on this way, right? You don't even see what's going on in the backfield. He sees the lineman pulling. He's attacking that. You're going to see a blocker try to come up and block him. He avoids that again, boom, fills that hole. And you can just see how fast he gets in that direction. It's quick diagnosing. See the speed that he can hit that hole quickly, downhill, right? Again, making the blocker miss and making this play. Let's go to the final play. And this is another important aspect of linebackers. You got to be able to move. In today's day and age, when you have offenses opening up, you need linebackers who can run. This is a nice rep right here for this young man. So they're going to be running a sweep. They're motioning here. You're going to see a sweep in this direction. And they're on, again, the hash mark. So remember that. When he's flowing in this direction, got to make another blocker miss right here. And look where the ball carrier is. He's on the opposite numbers, and he makes this tackle in open field. It's really important, right? So you're on the hash mark. They're running sweep away. Can your linebackers run this down, right? And he shows on this play that he can. Now, he does get a little help on the outside to slow down the running back a little bit. But look at him get out there, make this play out by the numbers. And again, this was a very impressive young man I watched on tape. I'm excited to see him this upcoming year. All right, guys, finally we get to our kicker and punter. And again, these are always big, important aspects of the game. And for this year, my kicker / punter for Section 1A is going to be Abel Berganza, the senior from John Jay Cross River, another transfer from Kennedy Catholic. And this is a young man who has that 40-plus yard leg. He can score points when drive stall. On the kickoff, he can put your offense in a poor position, which is something that's what you want, right? You want those kickers who can change the game for you, and I do think Abel is going to be that for this year, and he's my Frank's Finest for 1A. All right, everyone, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Congratulations to the players who were selected. Until next time, this is Frank signing out.